Hi guys, I welcome you to this particular tutorial on Yii framework, the definitive guide to Yii. Well, a definitive guide to Yii is almost like a bible for people who work in Yii. It has got various key concepts in there, and if you keep revising, keep revisiting, I'm sure your Yii development would be very fine. You can Google for Yii framework definitive guide, and you will land up into this page. So the guide has been broken down into these sections: getting started, which talks about how do you set up things, and then at the tail end of it, it kind of makes you create a small application, play around with the code generator, which we will do. Then you have fundamentals, talks about the concept of MVC, all various key concepts are here. Then we have a section which focuses on form, what is the concept of form, and it shows you interesting things there. Then we talk about databases, how some of the classes are able to connect to databases. How do you manage relationship between table? How do you migrate your database? And then there are certain topic around caching, extending Yi, so you can create your own components for reusability, for avoiding repetition of code. So that is covered in this section. Then it talks about testing, how do you write your tests. And finally, there are some special topics around code generation, this and that, which we will see in the due course. Now, what I want to do is, in this, if you read through, you will see that they are saying that in this particular page, they are talking about YIC command and GII command. So we'll be seeing all these commands, as we walk through. Of course, I may skip out some of the things. The idea is not to really go line by line and finish, but with this tutorial available, you may be able to get some more thoughts in case you are confused about certain things or some concept is not clear. This may give you some bit of input. That's the intent. All right, so without much ado, let's get started. So the first step is that I'm assuming that you've already downloaded Yii framework. And if you have downloaded, then within Yii framework, there is a directory framework and which has got the script YIC, right? This script is what is being talked about over here. And this allows you to create a web application. So let's just go ahead and create a web application. So in my case, um, YIC lies in atom. It may be different for you depending on how you have done it. Framework YIC. So this is this part of the command, and then you have to write web app and you have to give the name of your application. So I will write web app because I want to create a web app, and then I'll give name of test drive because I want to create it right here within sites, within this folder I want to create. So I enter it. So it's asking for a confirmation. We'll confirm it, and your application is created. The basic application is ready. It has created these many files, done so many things for you. So let's go ahead and run this application. Wow, cool. So just with the press of a button, you have something to begin with. You have this nice welcome page, an about page, contact, login. These all things are over here. Okay, so this is done. We are able to see all this. All these pages. Now here it talks about the structure of the file. So when you look at it, it's quite daunting because you see so many files. So maybe I will not go this way. I'll show you a little more comfortable way and make some comments. So let me go to the folder that is generated, and here you can see at top level there are a couple of files. CSS file is where you put your CSS resources, images, whatever images you may have. You may want to keep it here. Then you have this index.php, which is like the hero. It's like the main thing. Index.php is also known as a bootstrapping file, and we'll talk about it. Yeah, protected is a place where you have most of your action. You would be spending 99% of your time in protected only. Then you have this asset folder, which again we'll come to. It is interesting concept, but we'll see it. Themes, in special cases you may use it. So far I have never used themes, but somebody may use. So let's just zoom into one folder which is protected, and let's just take a quick look. So it seems to be having various folders, commands, as we will study, as we'll see at the right time, you will understand. But few of the things that you will immediately see is model folder. In next few minutes, you will see something happening in this folder. You will also see something happening in this controller folder. So just as a just for fun, let's go in and see. Controller has just one file. Remember this. It only has a side controller. It's got nothing else. Models is just got two of these files here. Nothing else, right? So we'll see. Now, if you're interested, and you must be interested, so you can always go and see in detail what these files corresponds to. But like I promised, I'll keep moving fast, just giving you all the essence of it. Okay, now here comes connecting to the database. See, most of these applications are useless without a database. So here they have talked about how do you connect to a database. So all the connection information happens through configuration files. Where are the configuration files? Within protected, you have this config folder which has this main.php, which is your configuration file. So let's just go open config, open main.php. Yeah, this is the file over here. And whatever they're talking about is just a snippet from the same file. So if you search for components, this is what they're talking about. They're talking about giving your the name of your database and all that. This happens over here. Now in this version of Yii, they have actually moved all the database thing to a specific configuration file, which is database.php, which is a good step they have done because it keeps things nice. Otherwise, main.php used to blow up in size. So this is the array that they are talking about over here, where we'll make some changes. Okay. Now they're talking about that there is a database by name of SQLite, right? But we make use of MySQL database. But what they have done is that they have provided a basic table, a user table with a ID, username, password, and email, like a very simple table, so that we can use it and play around and understand the concepts. Now, let's go ahead and open this SQL file. It is located at data, and then so let me open data, and then let me open schema mysql.sql. So as you see, I'm assuming that you have knowledge of MySQL or SQL. So this is where they are issuing a create command so that this table gets generated, and then they're inserting into it so many users, like about 20 odd users they're adding. Okay, good. So far so good. You've seen this file. Now, one important thing is that if you're using MySQL, then you have to actually add this database, through PHP MyAdmin. So I'll go to my PHP MyAdmin. I'll create a database. I can give it any name, but let's just call it test drive. And then I'll import this particular schema file. If you remember, um, I'll go to that folder. Look for test drive. Here is test drive. Then I'll go to protected. Then I'll go into data, and here is my SQL. Mind you, you don't have to use the .SQLite, you have to use .MySQL. We open it up here, and then we let it run. Wow, so it runs. Now let's see what do we get here. Yes, so we have this table user mapped in with as many users in here, and if you want to see the structure, this is where, so it's just mapped into the same structure. So good. Now let's see what's ahead. Now they're talking about the next concept, a concept known as CRUD operation. So see, whenever you have a database table, it has to implement 4 operations. You create records, you read them, you may update its value, or you may delete that record. So that is the very popular acronym CRUD. Now there is a code generator which is known as GII, and what it does is that it kind of takes those models, the database table. For example, in this case, it will take the user table and it will generate a code for you such that it will do all the hard work for you. Sometimes a good way to understand a concept is by asking a question, ki, suppose this was not there, then what would happen? So suppose we did not have GII, then one of us will have to go ahead and code all that thing. Maybe it will take us about 2 hours to code it. But if you use GII, then immediately with a press of a button, a few things done, and in next 5 minutes you have got bulk of code generated already for you to start off with, and you can take up this code and then you can modify as per your need. So that is the reason of the existence of GII. It does all that mundane, very template driven work for you, so you don't have to waste your time doing it. Something that is also known as scaffolding. It creates a certain scaffold for you to work on. So let's just see. So GII needs to be configured. It's pretty simple, but let's just show you. Again, you have to refer to that main.php configuration file. So I'll open config main.php, and over here I this time look for GII. So you see this is commented out. This is actually a module. GII is a module. Just keep it in your mind. At the right time you will understand. You have to add a password. So let's use the most secure password in the entire world. Let it be 1 2 3 4 5 6. And it's not recommended. It's not a, but temporarily I'm putting a star so that GII is a very powerful tool. It's like it can also create a lot of problem for you if somebody with a malicious intent gets access to GII. So a lot of filtering has been put so that only a certain IP may access it. So let's just go ahead and over here you see index.php r is equal to site/login. You just change everything after r equal to, just remove and put GII. Okay, so it asks you for the password and you know what the password is. Okay, good. So we are at this page. Let's go back and see how are we doing. So we have done all this step. We have called article GII, and then it is saying, go ahead and generate your user model. Okay, good. So I'll go to model generator and see. I think they're showing the same screen over here. And then what we need to do is in the what it does is that it takes the name of your database table and it generates an equivalent model file. Again, what is the advantage of it? The beauty of using a model file is that you don't have to go through the the hard way of writing sequels every time. It slows you down. So for simpler cases you use something known as active records. You cannot use active record if you have not generated this model. So therefore generation of these models are important. So very smart tool. It is connected to your database, so it tells you also in a autofill way that this table you're talking about. Now there are ways to do it. In this particular tutorial they've asked to just remove this TBL. So it also generates a suggested name. Just remove the TBL part, they are saying. Now this is a choice. In certain softwares we make, at times we don't do that, but it has its own value that we will come to. Then we go ahead and review it, and when you preview it, it says that shall I go ahead and generate. Oh, see, it is not allowing me to write to that folder. Now this is one of the problems which people newer to the system face, and the solution for that problem is that just that you have to give permission to this particular area. So this generator is trying to write into this models folder. So currently it doesn't have a permission. So let's just for now give it a full permission. Again, caution. I mean, there are better ways to do it, but just to save some time right now, I'm doing it. Again, let me do a preview and look for generate. Wow, the file is generated. It makes sense to look at this file at least quickly once. So I'll open this file and look into it. All these things are auto-generated. That's the beauty of it, Otherwise, you would have to go and do it yourself. It's a very smart tool. It is able to read your schema, understand your field. It's also and do all these things. So don't be bothered with it. We will anyway go deeper into this file. Just be happy with the fact that these models are generated for you. Okay. So we're doing good so far. We have been able to generate our user model. And now comes the next step. Once you've generated your user model, an amazing thing he gives you, it whenever you have a table, like I said, you have to create, update, delete, and a lot of your time will go if you do it in the core PHP way. You have to write all that code yourself. It's a big waste of time. So CRUD generator is an accelerator. See, when you have these tables, you have to provide some interface to create them, right? So when you write a web application and there is a user table, you will have to give a web interface, but where somebody can add the fields of those user table and press a create button and those things get generated. So it does all the hard work for you. It generates a basic code and it's pretty beautiful. You will see. Again, I go to GII, but this time I change gears and I go to CRUD generator. It is asking for a model class. Of course, the model class is user. So I'll punch that thing in here. So we'll go ahead, preview it. Okay, so it is saying it's going to generate so many files. It is going to create a controller. It is going to create a lot of views. And don't worry, all these things you're going to be learning about soon. But see, if you were to create so many files, you would take 2-3 hours. But here, with a nice press of a button, you see a nice error. Let me go ahead and do the same magic to the controller folder. And let's try this again. Generate. Well, the views could not be generated. So let me go ahead and give permission to the view files. Okay, I do generate. Wow, all these files are now generated for you, and it's amazing. You'll see in a while. Now it says that after you've done all that, you can access it by calling a router. R is a router. Just learn this terminology. R equal to user. So you're calling a router on user controller. I'm saying it again. You're calling a router on user controller, and which you will understand in greater detail as we move forward. So I call test drive. I go to R equal to, and what was that? You remember? Yes, user. Wonderful. Now try and correlate whatever you've seen so far. So you see user test 1, test 2, test 3, all these guys you can see nicely over here. If you remember, there were 20 entries. They're showing over here. Oh no, only 10. Wow, but then you have a paginated table here. You press this and you keep going to the next page. See, all the hard work of your development has been taken care of by the framework by generating these codes automatically. Let's shoot ahead and see this nice menu over here. Let's go ahead and create a user. Well, it intercepts and says, first give me your login. Well, you have a hint over here. Login we're gonna use is admin. So let's just do that. Login. Oh, it's asking me for an email. To get over that problem, I just gave my email ID prasoon@startbeans.com, and any ID would have done it. Now I'm able to log in. Okay, so guess I am logged in now. Now we have to go back to our router. So R equal to user. Now this time I'll go to create user. Oh, it's asking for login once again. I'll put all this information and press create. So a user has been created. We can create, let's say, another user. Let's call it John. Password is, let's say, John only. His email ID, let's say john@stratbees.com. Okay, so we press create. So I have created so many users. We can again look at the list of users since they are created recently, or the last page we're gonna see. Now you can go to manage user page, all generated for you, and then there are these. You can see all these users listed. You can go and search. If you press advanced search, you can search them by name. For example, let me just search it by say John. See, we got this user over here. So all this, all the hard work done by the generator, and it's your starting point. So suppose you don't like certain scheme, now you go ahead and make your changes. That's the whole idea. But it gives you that head start in the race. You don't have to start from point zero. It gives you a little boost. You move ahead. So all this search functionality, everything, it's all auto generated. Let's move ahead. I guess we are towards end of it. This covers our section. Hope you liked it. Thanks.